there's a happy news to share with you all. We have an eminent person from the field of science among us today. Put your hands together as we welcome Professor Dr. Alok Srivastava, a physical chemist with specialization in nuclear and radiation chemistry, here along with Mrs. Srivastava. May I request Dr. Srivastava to adorn the chair on the dais, please. I now call upon Prakasha Dikshita to introduce our guest to the audience.
Science, as a field, is one of the greatest collective endeavors of humanity. It significantly contributes our understanding to the world and offer answers to questions as well as solutions that benefits millions across the world. We have among us today an eminent personality with a doctorate in nuclear chemistry, Professor Dr. Alok Srivastava, a physical chemist with specialization in nuclear and radiation chemistry. He is presently working as a professor and was chairman of the Department of Chemistry and Center for Advanced Studies, Punjab University, Chandigarh. He has also held position of adjunct professor in the Center for Nanoscience and Nanotechnology of Punjab University. He did his BSc, MSc from the Institute of Science, Mumbai with distinction and later doctorate from Baba Yam Atomic Research Center, Mumbai in the field of nuclear chemistry. After completing his PhD, he moved to Physical Research Laboratory, Ahmedabad, to carry out postdoctoral research in its geocosmophysics groups. He has had notable opportunities to work along with experts in national field and also with intellectuals and a Nobel laureate in the international field of nuclear science. His contribution in the area of radiometrology and nuclear safety and safeguards has been significant. He has marked a niche of his own in many overseas universities and institutions in Germany, France, Japan, Spain, Netherlands, Australia, Brazil, Italy, Algeria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Nepal, Bangladesh and USA. Dr. Srivastava is the man behind the establishment of international postgraduate program entitled European Master of Science in Nuclear Applications in Aachen University of Applied Sciences, Zurich, Germany, which provides wide exposure to students on application of nuclear science. Professor Srivastava has been carrying out research since last 35 years in the area of public health, nanoscience, material science, environmental and geoscience besides nuclear safeguards, radiation biology, and nuclear reactions. He has published 85 papers in international journals and has presented around 140 papers in different national and international conferences. He has given more than 100 extension lectures and seminars in academic institutions around the world. He is founder fellow of NGO, which is involved in providing awareness about water and health in rural areas. All these and more. Dear friends, I feel privileged to have Dr. Alok Srivastava among us today. Let's welcome him to our address.
So before I start, I'd like to thank Vasu Prakashji for giving me this opportunity to come to this school and share my views as well as to motivate you people. I'm a very abnormal person, so I think I would rather like to interact with you. So I promised Vasu Prakashji that I will be just discussing with you in a very story-like way. I'm interacting where all of us will be involved. So I've got some ideas which I would like to share with you from different branches of science, so that I can give you a glimpse of what is awaiting you if you decide to take science as a career. Okay? So that is the idea behind this interaction. But it will not be formal, it will be very, very informal. So I'll start with a story. So are you ready to listen to a story? Yes. Okay. That's nice. We know that you like to hear stories and listen to stories. So the story goes like this. Please pay attention. The story is about Second World War, 18 to 18. That was the time it was 40, if I remember correctly, early 20th century, okay? So, have you seen a plane, an aeroplane, or these jet planes? You must have seen those modern aircraft, but in those days, there were no such modern jet aircrafts, modern fighter aircrafts. They were very simple planes. Which have you seen the old planes which had only one, one motor and one engine, if I may say so, and then they were very simple. I mean, it was all open, no closed cockpit, and then the pilot had to do everything. So now what will a fighter pilot do? A fighter pilot has to go to the enemy's territory, drop a bomb, and then come back. So he has to steer the plane, he has to drop the bomb, and has to come back safely to the air base where he is actually operating from. So what happened? One of these pilots goes for a sortie and enters the enemy territory. But when the aircraft go into the enemy would not like to be bombarded, isn't it? So there are what we call anti-aircraft guns. So they start putting what you call, what should I call it? Something like there are cluster, it's not missile, in those days it was not missile, like a lot of bullets would come out of that, you may think like that, and then it would hit the plane. So that is what, these are called anti-aircraft guns. I don't know, have you heard of anti-aircraft guns? So this man comes because of your stupidity. He says, sir, no, I did the right thing. He says, no, I found a fly. Now, this is where you have to be very careful. I found a fly, and this fly was whizzing near, it was actually making noise near my ear. And I had to concentrate on flying the plane, dropping the bomb, and I was getting distracted, and I would have lost my life because of this fly. So I caught this fly and put it down, because it was an open cockpit, no? So you can understand. The airman says, sir, I have done a good job, you know. It's not a fly, it is a bullet from the enemy side, because as I told you, they spray bullets using anti-aircraft. So one of the bullets landed, and he just got hold of it and he put it down. So he said, sir, he said, no, you're telling a lie. It's basically a fly. So this was, then he said, okay, you report to, he thought he'd be suspended. So he comes rushing to a person like you, young lady. Please help me, I'm an honest person. He will take my job, this pilot, saying that I have not done a good job. I've done a good job, ma'am. This is basically a bullet. And the sir is saying that is a fly. So now you have to represent the airman and convince the inquiry committee arguments, isn't it? So what will you tell the judge? No, sir, he is correct. It was not a fly, it was a bullet. Or the other way I can frame this question is, I can ask, am I talking nonsense? Am I telling you a story which has got no basis? So, now I'd like to ask students, how many of you think that this story is just made up? It's not a real story, and I'm just trying to make a fool of this people. So how many say I'm making a fool out of you? Raise your hand, and then you'll have a problem if you don't raise your hand now. So I'm making a fool of everyone by telling a stupid story which has got no rational background, if I may say so. So how many? Please raise your hand and tell me. How many say? You say. What you say? They are telling something which is nonsense. It cannot happen. A bullet, you cannot catch hold of a bullet and put it down and say it's a fly. Okay. And how many say it was a fly? Now, how can that be? If 3 of you say it is not a fly, the other ones are saying it's a fly. So you all have to raise your hand. You say it is a fly. So if it's a fly, then you're actually helping the pilot. So he will get suspended. But those 3 young people, they say, no, it was a bullet. And they are trying to help the airman by saying, so now you have to argue in front of the judge and give your argument and tell me it is not a fly but a bullet. Come on, get up. Start. So what is the argument? Yeah, what is the argument?
How can they catch a bullet, sir, with a bare hand?
How can they catch a bullet with a bare hand? This is his problem. I mean, so are you asking the judge? You have to defend this person. You told that it is.
Oh, actually, it's not a bullet.
You said it's not a bullet, so it's a fly then.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's how you're saying, how can you catch a fly?
Yes.
Oh, you can't catch a fly like this?
You can maybe.
I can, but not the pilot while flying the plane, you know. So you see the issue seems to be a little bit interesting. So, young lady, you are the first I asked. So is it a bullet or a fly? It's a bullet? No, you said it's a fly, and this young lady says it's a bullet. So come on, start telling me why you think it was a bullet. It made sound like a fly was. And how? And the fly came on the plane just to disturb the pilot. So that means the airman did do a good job. So the fly was with the. Okay. So according to her, she says bullet, but she still supports flying. Please sit down. So that's a problem, isn't it? So how is it? There can be only one answer, either fly or a bullet. So again, let's say, how many think it is a fly? Raise your hand. Again, now you come on, raise up. Oh, many of you. So you say it's a fly. And then you say because you cannot catch a fly. That was one of the arguments. But that doesn't work. Science is not like that. Science takes in data and comes out with a rational conclusion. So you cannot be emotional. So you have to find an answer. So anyone would like to help the airman by saying it is a bullet. So all of you say it is a fly. And then you raise your hand, and that is how a scientist works. He has got a data and give you data. And now you do actually come up with an argument to defend your aim or objective. So the aim and objective is to help the airman by saying it is not a fly, it is a bullet. But someone has to come forward and say it is a bullet, and I can prove it is a bullet. Okay, so you all are for fly, and you say fly was actually, so airman has to be suspended. But now let's think like a scientist. What does the scientist think like? He thinks rationally. He wants the actual data. And what does the data says? The data says that there was something, this was whizzing past, and then he caught hold of it and put it down. So a bullet, and the plane is also flying, and the bullet is also flying. So there are many, many principles which you've all studied in your class, which have been taught, but you didn't use your mind. You know what you missed? Your teachers have told you about relative velocity, going in the same direction, going in opposite direction. One gets added and one gets subtracted. So now it might so have happened, you could tell the judge that when the plane was coming back, the bullet could have gone with the same speed. But then, so how can a bullet have the same speed or velocity as a plane? But then you remember when the bullet comes out, it faces air resistance, so it will slow down. So there is a possibility that velocity of the bullet and velocity of the plane could be same for some time. And you know, because the bullet whizzes, you know, it goes like, so it gives a feeling of it is fluttering, you know. When the insects flutter their wing, you see at a very high frequency, it gives a whizzing sound. So it's the same whizzing sound. So the data says whizzing sound, it was there with me, and he was flying, but then you can create this situation and use scientific principles to defend the airman and say, no, it was a bullet, he was right. So this is the challenge which you will face when you take up science, because science cannot be emotional. Scientific data has to be, so what happened? You people say, how can someone catch a fly? The plane is moving and you catch it in fly. No, but think, a condition can be created. So a scientist always works in a very holistic manner. He looks deep into the data and then tries to make something rational out of it. So you understand this is how a scientist works. So now you see, I could help the airman by proving to the judge that it was a bullet. So all the scientific facts cannot be objected to because these are scientific facts which is studied in school. And now these, so when you go up to college, the same thing will happen. Your school level studies will be the base of your career, remember that. So if you have a strong schooling, no one can stop you from progressing. So you have to be very, very attentive, alert. Okay? This is the stage where you have to be very, very serious about what you have been taught. Okay? So now you've got a feel of what I'm saying. So now we'll start with another example, and that would be an interesting question. I'll ask this young man. Let me see how big you are. Oh wow, it's quite 5 feet. You already reached 5'3" is 5 feet 3 inches. I want to sell you in the market. How much should I ask? How much should I ask?
So, but how you will sell?
I'll sell you. I'll go to the market. Let's come. Come, let's come. I want to sell this young man 5 feet 3 inches. Very bright young man I have. I want to sell him. Could price lagayega? How much would you like to sell him for? How much? 100 rupees. 101. 10 rupees. Okay, please. Okay, now this is not like auction. 101, 102. So we'll just take 2 people. One who's a please sit down, okay? 10 rupees. 10 rupees. Please come here. 10 rupees. This is science. I'll tell you how scientists work. Abnormal scientists, not the normal one. I'm abnormal. You say 10 rupees. Why 10 rupees? Why 10 rupees? Why do you think your classmate is worth 10 rupees? So you should give action. You have to have it. So why 10 rupees? Emotional? It's worth 10 rupees. He's not worth it. Not even 10 rupees. So this is not how science moves, you know. So what about this chair? How much will you pay for it? 200 rupees. I don't think it is. 200, you can check. So you said now the problem is you have to scientifically do something. Please say, and 101 rupees. Where is this gentleman? 101 rupees, please come. 101 rupees. So 101 rupees. So this gentleman wants to buy my friend for 101 rupees. Why? Please.
Sir, it should be pocket friendly.
It should be pocket friendly. But you are not interested in checking the object, trying to find out what is the market value.
Customer care.
Customer care. But no customer care service here. You have to evaluate yourself. Or you give me the job and I will do it for you. You are giving the job Okay, so my friend has given the job to me and I'll tell you how much will I sell this young man for. Okay, the answer should have been he is valueless. You cannot put a value. That could be a very good answer. But I'm sorry to say that 10 rupees and 101 rupees is what you thought. You should have said, no, you cannot buy. My classmate or my friend is that. You cannot put a value on it. But there has to be a value, you know. So now I'll put a value and you'll surprise how a scientist works. I told you we are abnormal. So what I'll do is, I'll say, okay, young man, what is your weight? 42 kilos. Okay, our young friend has a weight of 42 kilos. And you know, 75% of it is, 70% is water. Your water. So 70% of 40 kilos is how much? 28 kilos. So what would be 1 liter water price here? What would be the price? 10 rupees a liter. Okay, let's compare you with a Bisleri bottle. How much do they sell it for here in this? How much? 20 rupees. So 560 rupees. So that is very clear. 560 rupees I can get for him. So now you see how a scientist works. This is it. Then 12% of use carbon. So 12% of 40 kilos is about 5 kilos. 42 is about 5 kilos. How much is coal nowadays in the market here? Coal, 1 kilo coal if you buy, koila. You know what koila is? Huh? Again 20 rupees. Okay, water also koila, both 20 rupees. So 100 rupees. So now you see how a scientist works. He is factual. He actually starts finding out what you are made up of. And then he tries to work on your price. So now I'll find out what is the calcium content of your. So calcium kitna hoga? 20%. So 20% of that are 40 to 8 kilos. How much is now this tuna? This tuna which you get, say 5 rupees kilo. So if you keep on adding, if you think like a chemist, an abnormal chemist like me, you are not worth more than 1,000 rupees. But you are valueless. Remember, you cannot put a value. But you have a soul, you have a mind which cannot be bought. But yeah, a chemist knows only thing, composition, constitution, and then I just did I make a mistake? And 1,000 rupees will get. 100 rupees you are selling too less. 10 rupees it is just like you better give him free. Don't ask for 10 rupees, at least 1,000 rupees could be. So now again you found how a scientist works. Okay, so we'll go, like that I have some 3-4 stories to tell you to give you a feel of how a scientist works. Okay? Or how a scientist, it could be physicist, it could be chemist, it could be botanist, it could be zoologist. We all think like that, we think rationally. So if you have a rational, if you think rational, I think you should come for science. Okay? So now next story which I'd like to share with you is about energy. I'm here for energy and an environment concept. So we'll talk about energy. Okay? So when I talk about energy, I would like to tell you something about atom bomb. How about that? Why? Because it gives a picture of gigantic amount of energy being released into the environment. Okay? So young lady, have you seen an atom bomb? Have you seen an atom bomb? Oh, they actually, firecrackers during Diwali, they sell these atom bombs, no? Okay, but I'm not talking about the Diwali atom bomb. That is just a small cracker which works on chemical reactions. I'm talking about the nuclear one. So do you know that when you talk about reactions, the chemical reaction, the energy which comes out is very, very small or low in comparison to the energy which comes out because of the nuclear reaction. So in atom bomb, we use the nuclear energy. We use the nuclear reaction, that's what we call it nuclear energy. And this energy is 1,000,000 times higher. And that's why you must have read, if you have all seen YouTube for atom bomb exploding, and if you have read about the history of atom bomb when it was put on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, lakhs of people died in one go. That was the energy. So now also, people like me study the nucleus and the nuclear reactions and try to find out how does matter produce so much energy. So for your information, let me give a very simple comparison. It's something like, have you seen your mother preparing khana in your home?
Yes, sir.
What does she use?
Ingredients.
Not the khana, I'm talking about fuel which she uses. The fuel, that stove में या तो चूल्हा होता है उसमें कोयला यूज करती है वो या गैस यूज करती है. What does she use? Stove with gas or oil or kerosene or oil. So in his home actually food is being cooked. So let's see, we think about food being cooked by coal. Okay? So you have a stove, you know what a stove is. So if you burn coal and then you burn 1 kilo of uranium, which is one of the fuels for atom bomb, okay, or nuclear reactor we use this. We actually try to get energy from uranium. So 1 kilo of uranium you burn, and the energy, 1 kilo is just this much. The energy which you burn, which you get by burning using nuclear approach, the energy which you get is similar to your mother if she's using a coal-fed chulha or stove. She has to have 2,500 trucks waiting at her doorstep, and every truck will have 10 tons of coal. So the energy which 1 kilo of uranium gives is similar to what 2,500 tons of coal gives. So now you can see the difference. So some people, some scientists must have worked. They started thinking about, like Madame Curie worked on, Ernest Rutherford worked on it, Becquerel worked on it. Many nuclear scientists kept on. They actually tamed the nucleus, tamed the matter. The earlier scientists are taming the atom. So when you tame the atom, you got low energy. But when you tame the nucleus, you got very high amount, billions of times more powerful than ever mankind has seen. So you see that you have to be inquisitive. If you're not inquisitive, so if you want to take up a career in science, you should also think that you have this ability to question, to be curious, to be inquisitive, and then only think of taking science. But science is, it's very interesting. Right? Some people must have worked, that's why you get this energy. Maybe this energy which you are having in this room will be coming from nuclear energy. Who knows? There are nuclear power stations. Maybe it is coming from what you call Kalpakam is actually near Chennai. It's about 150. So now I have to talk about. Okay, this is something, the wrong one which I took. This one I had made when I was in the conference. Some notings I have made, but I think I have prepared something interesting for you to give you an insight into how scientists work. And then I just talked about your body business, I talked about your nuclear business, and I talked about the real man, and now I'll talk about this will be interesting. Okay. So, now let's come not your birthday. When is your birthday, young man? When is your birthday? Should we cut cake today?
My birthday is on June 4th.
June 4th. Who has birthday today? Anyone has a birthday today? No one has a birthday today? Okay, maybe tomorrow? Day after tomorrow? Wow, there is a birthday boy. Please come in. Birthday boy, please come in. So I'd now like to introduce our birthday boy, and we'll make a cake for you. Strawberry will be okay? Chocolate. Okay, so this was strawberry. Okay, think it's chocolate now. That is all what I can offer. Okay, so let's see strawberry. Now I put some candles here. How would you blow the candles? Oh, wow. He did like this. How many would say this is the right way to blow the candle? Please raise your hand. He blew the candle the right way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, he blew the right way. Yes, come on. Please raise your hand. So many of your friends think that you're blowing the right way. What about you? Did he blow the candle right way? He didn't. Or did he? So, you said he didn't do it. Then how should he do it now? You're in the other side, no? You didn't raise your hand. That's why I asked. Why do you say it is not the right way to blow? Okay. So you see, again the problem is this. We get emotional. Scientists do become emotional. That's the problem. They say, okay, how does the candle get blown? How does it get blown? By air, but air helps in combustion. So it should become brighter. That's a problem. You thought it was air, but air is required. So you should get a brighter candle. So where did it happen? Again, no emotions. I'm not a good person. So the only way out is to cut the air. Cut the air. Because that's the only way. Because if you cut the air, then only there will be no oxygen, so no burning. This is what has been taught by your teacher. So you should blow your from top. When you do like this, then what will happen? The carbon dioxide, which is a heavier gas, settles down on that and cuts the air, and then the candle extinguishes. So next time, you tell your friend, no, I'm not going to put, I will do it scientifically. I will put my head up and then get the CO2 out on it, and you can just come here. So you saw again how a scientist works? Scientist works very hard, isn't it? Okay, so 2 more stories and then I think I will wind up. Now let's think about Visakhapatnam. I saw big ships here. And I saw some boat swords.